What's up, guys? This is Zach, and I am back for my Week 4 PBL matchup. It's the Hoopas versus the Squirtle Squad this week, so me v Casey. Casey's usually a pretty formidable opponent. He can bring the heat sometimes, so I came into this week prepared. But without any further ado, we're just going to jump straight into this match. So, just talking about what I expected for this match, I expected Casey to bring Nidoqueen and Magnapole Magnezone. I always expect him to bring Magnapole Magnezone for my Steel-type walls, and he never does, but neither of those two showed up to the match. And we start off with 3Cs versus Fat Kachu, the Azumarill, and I'm scared of a Play Rough, even without any belly drumming or anything. A Play Rough kills me, and I can't OHKO it back, so I go out into Kamikaze, who is a physical wall this week. And he withdraws, so that was a little fishy to me. He wasn't too confident in his Azumarill's ability, but I just kind of figured he was trying to predict some switch, and he brought out Shantae. So just a quick thing on Kamikaze. Kamikaze means Divine Wind, and it was first termed in the 13th century by the Japanese, who basically had a typhoon wipe out a Mongolian invasion and help them win a battle way back then. So Kamikaze is kind of a term for a divine spirit that helps turn the tide of battle. So that Suicune is my new divine wind. Anyway, back to more important things. I'm gonna Volt Switch out on Flame Prince. The reason I thought he'd bring Nidoqueen is because otherwise I just get these free Volt Switches, and I'm keeping Switch priority throughout the whole beginning of this match, just making sure I keep getting Volt Switches and U-turns and get favorable matchups. So Suicune is looking at Flame Prince, and he switches out to Blondie, so I know what switch he is usually looking for when Suicune is out. So he goes into Blondie. I Scald. I did bring Calm Mind on Suicune this week. I could have tried to set up some Calm Minds and sweep with Suicune, but I just kind of felt like either damage or a possible burn was more important. We've talked a lot about how Scald is very good this week, and I knew it was very good, so I got the burn I wanted, and he's Psychic, so Noggin comes out and eats that Psychic up like it's nothing. Especially defensive Psychic, or especially defensive Noggin this week, obviously. And he's just slowly whittling down with burn. So at this point, this is what I was talking about. So he's going to switch into something else. So he's going to bring out Shantae. I'm just going to go ahead and U-turn and keep this switch initiative because there's no reason for me not to be honest. I could knock off some leftovers or something, but really is that worth it to me? Not so much. So I'm going to go ahead and U-turn and bring in Jazz Hands. So last time this was a matchup, I ended up going Volt Switch because I predicted him trying to Flash Fire boost with his Heatran. This time I'm going to switch it up, and I'm going to just straight up Overheat. I didn't think he'd bring Heatran in because Heatran actually took a decent amount from that Volt Switch. And he doesn't bring Heatran in, he brings in this Latias. So Latias takes some damage, brings it just under half, and I get the special attack drops. Burn keeps whittling it down. At this point, I've kind of determined that this Latias is probably his best Scarfer. This is the best candidate for a Scarfer on his team, in my mind. The team that he brought, at least. So I'm just going to Volt Switch out here. I'm going to let Jazz Hands take that hit that turn so I can Volt Switch out. And I'm just going to bring out 3Cs. Since I think he's Scarfed, he's going to be Scarfed into Shadow Ball, and 3Cs gets a free hit on something. So at this point, I'm just waiting to see what he throws out against 3Cs. So he brought out Shantae, which I just want to mention is a pretty good nickname. I like that nickname. Anyway, he brings out Shantae. Shows I'm holding Lopunite, the big secret of what my Lopunny is holding. And I guess this really just tells me that this is a pretty typical Gourgeist EV spread. It's going to be HP and physical defense, and it's just going to be pretty fat physically. Which means that my Tapu Lele can scare it pretty well because it's probably completely invested physically and doesn't have a lot of special defense, so I keep that in mind for later. So, I mean, even though it's physically defensive, that did a good chunk, and I'm going to bring Yuno straight out. At this point, I don't really know what he wants to do. He could Leech Seed me, he could Will-O-Wisp Leech Seeds. So, I was actually very surprised that he Leech Seed because I really expected a Will-O-Wisp. With my Mega Lopunny staring you in the face, I would expect a Will-O-Wisp, but he went for the Leech Seed, so he goes out into Flame Prince at this point. And right now, I'm feeling like I can just throw out psychics. He doesn't really have anything that can stop me from throwing out psychics, because it still does a lot to this Heatran, and that's, I think, his only resist he brought this week. So this psychic's gonna take out Heatran, and Heatran's gone. So Heatran never got to set up rocks, and really he just took hits. So I'm okay with that. So then he brings Grumpy Cat. This is something I really didn't expect him to bring, because I can stop priority, and I can outspeed this thing pretty easily and one-shot it in my terrain. But he protects there, so Casey reveals some interesting strats throughout this whole match, and Protect is one of them. He's going to Protect and realize that his only chance here is to get a double Protect. So he gets it. So I noticed he missed a Leech Seed earlier, which is unlucky, but he did just get a double Protect, so that kind of makes up for it. That double Protect is actually really important, though, like I was saying, because that gets rid of my Psychic terrain, which means that my Psychic no longer one-shots this Zangoose. So something else has to come out at this point. And unfortunately, I chose Noggin. So Noggin's going to take a Facade, and it's going to hurt like hell. But it does live, so we get a tanked hit. And at this point, I'm just going to U-turn. If he tries to do something else, I get a free U-turn off. Or he can just try to KO me. But I'm not going to switch and let something else take hits. So Uxie goes down. He's probably feeling a little better, but I mean, at this point, he's taking toxic damage, and I can just go out into again and put my terrain right back up. So his double Protect did grant him one free kill on something, because any of my walls that came in would probably die in a couple hits anyway. Kamikaze could probably take a few, but wouldn't do a whole lot back. Can't burn it or anything. But anyway, he protects again. So Casey does a lot of protecting this battle. Zangoose is not the only Pokemon that has Protect on his team, I will let you know. But he tries another double Protect. It doesn't work this time, so I'm just going to go for that Psychic and finish off Grumpy Cat here. Also a pretty good nickname. I like Casey's nicknames a lot. Anyway, Fat Kachu comes out, and once again, I'm kind of fearing a Play Rough from this thing, or a Belly Drum. He might just take this opportunity to try to Belly Drum. He can't Aqua Jet me, but I don't want to take a Play Rough or anything. And then this turn, he reveals Whirlpool. And I'm just like, Whirlpool. Okay, he wants to trap me, because there's no reason he would do that for damage. He wants to trap me. So what is this set? And then he goes for Perish Song. So I was like, okay, we're doing Whirlpool, Perish Song, and we're going to sit here and stare each other in the face for 3 turns. But at this point, I take the opportunity to get my rocks up. If you're going to Whirlpool and trap me and I can't switch out, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. So he's just kind of looking at me, our Perish Counts fall, or whatever they're called. And look, Protect on the Zoomerl. He's got another Protect mod to try to just wait out these turns. I'm going for Power Whip. I know Zoomerl gets Sap Sipper, but I didn't think people would, I didn't think Casey would actually run Sap Sipper Zoomerl, but he did. As you'll see the next turn. He's just gonna go for Whirlpool and miss. It's, like I said, pretty unlucky, but he did get a double Protect, which is like a 50% chance, I think. And then he gets a Sap Sipper boost, so it's like, okay, this is not going great for me. Perish Counts fall to 1. Here, this is what I'm thinking. I can switch out because I'm slower than him, and if I get out, then I get out. If he stays in and doesn't let me get out, we both die, so I'm okay with that trade. And I actually call his bluff, and he switches out, so my switch is allowed. Whirlpool is no longer on me since the Zoomerl is no longer on the field. So I switch out into Jazz Hands, so I get away from that Perish Count. And at that point, Casey messaged me, like, just telling me, like, he was really surprised that I called that and was able to keep my Ferrothorn alive that turn. But I've dealt with a lot of BS, Casey. I know how to handle it. But anyway, Scary Terry comes out. And like before, he doesn't have Flame Prince anymore, so no Flash Fire on his team, so I can just Overheat. And even though it's resisted, that does a lot of damage to Scary Terry. It's a crit, that's why. So more luck on my side, unfortunately, for Casey. I didn't want to Volt Switch here, but boy, would it have been a freaking read if I Volt Switched, because his Pursuit would not be higher damage. I'm pretty sure how it works. Because he's faster, and I would Volt Switch out after his move. But he did read me, and he pursued me, and I died. So unlucky for Jazz Hands. But Kamikaze comes out, And honestly, Kamikaze is not scared of anything this thing can do to him. I actually really expected him to swap out and try to bring something else in, so I tried to start doing some roar phasing, and he read me pretty well and just defogged the rocks away, so that was unlucky. I was hoping he would switch into like Shantae, and then I could roar that Mega Aerodactyl back in, and then just let him die to rocks. That would have been pretty funny. Would have been pretty nice for me. So I'm going to pull up a Tailwind, and he's going to Toxic me. At this point, I'm thinking he's going to do this thing again that he did before. And what do I do in response, really? I could, if I wanted to, go back out to Ferrothorn and do this again, but I realized Ferrothorn can't really do anything to this Pikachu when it has, or this Fat Pikachu when it has Sap Sipper. So I'm just going to go ahead and start Scalding and fishing for some burn damage, maybe. If I can get a burn, it cancels out his leftovers, and then my other attacking Mons can have an easier time taking out this bulky, weird Azumarill set. But my first attempt does not get a burn, and I'm still stuck in this Whirlpool. And I throw out another Scald, just still fishing for this burn. Still don't get it. So here's the Perish Song. So he's going through the motions here. He's gonna have this Perish Song, and we're gonna do this again, where we're gonna look at each other, and I'm gonna be like, are you gonna switch, or are you gonna let this Azumarill go down? This matchup is actually a little different, I think, because I am faster than that Azumarill. If I try to do that switch I did with Ferrothorn, I think my switch would actually be denied, because my switch would try to go first since I'm faster, and Azumarill would still be on the field. So I'm not sure if Casey knew that, but I think that's how the mechanic works, and I think that would have let my Kamikaze fall to Perish Song and let his Azumarill switch on it. But anyway, this is still going down, and I get hit by Whirlpool, get brought into the red, and my Perish Song counter is still at 2. But at this point, Casey realizes he doesn't need Perish Song to finish me off. Honestly, the Toxic is going to finish me off this turn, and I realize that as well. So I'm going to get one last Tailwind up. So Tailwind is a big support move for my team this week. I do have a Scarf on my Tapu Lele, just in case I needed some better immediate check to his Mega Aerodactyl, but a Tailwind opens up a lot more options for me. So with a Tailwind up, I can go out in the 3Cs and kind of just hit whatever comes in. I'm very scared to go for high jump kicks, because he's already revealed Protect on 2 Pokemon. I suspect Protect is part of his plan with his sets, but I also suspect he has Protect there to stop me from getting high jump kicks and causing crash damage. So I'm just going to throw out Returns. And Return does a bunch to Shantae there, which was pretty nice. And I KO with the next Return, and yeah, there it goes. Pop off the next Return, and it's down. So Shantae is gone. That physical wall is finally gone. He brings out Scary Terry. So I think at this point, Casey doesn't realize that I still have Tailwind up. Bringing out Scary Terry didn't really do much for him. I'm just going to go ahead and return. So the Tailwind really helped me out there. And at this point, he has this Azumarill left, I'm pretty sure, and what I assume is a Scarfed Latias. So Azumarill's out here. At this point, I'm calling his bluff. You don't have Play Rough. You have... Yeah, actually, no, I think we've seen all 4 moves. I think he has Protect, Perish Song, Whirlpool, and Toxic. So yeah, he doesn't have Play Rough. So he doesn't have anything that immediately threatens me. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw out Returns. And as you can see, I did over half with that return. It was pretty solid damage. And as I assumed, he's gonna Protect here and get as much damage as he possibly can with this Whirlpool. So just gonna go ahead and take a Whirlpool damage and let him get his leftovers back. So at this point, I can finish this turn, or he can go for a double Protect like he's tried a few times, but he doesn't go for the double Protect, so I finish off Azumarill. So at this point, he brings out Blondie. I am very positive this is a Scarf Blondie, and my Tailwind peters out. If I wanted to, I really could have tried to switch into Tapu Lele, taken a Psychic, and finished off with Tapu Lele. That would have given me a better differential at the end of this match, but I wasn't really worried about the differential at the time. I knew I had the win in the bag. I was just kind of letting whatever happened happen. If he has a Scarf, good on him. You get an extra differential. I realize that's probably a mistake, especially in my division when the lead is so tight. The race is very tight. First and second place in my division is down to differential, so that was definitely a mistake on my part. But Lele comes in, finishes off the Latias, and now I'm 3-1 with a +7, I believe. So I'm feeling all right, doing much better after that first week. I'm on a little streak now, and I'm going to try to make sure I don't give up free KOs in the future. But I'll talk to you guys next week.